In the dead of night, inside a darkened room, a woman lay on the bed, struggling in discomfort. A man pushed the door open. Seeing the woman's desperate state, a flicker of disgust flashed in his eyes. Yet he still reached out, lifting her chin with his fingers, and the woman grew even more restless with desire. Staring at her, the man could no longer restrain himself. He stripped off his clothes and gave in to the temptation. No matter how passionately she tried to respond, his eyes remained cold and detached. That night would become the turning point of her entire life. As dawn broke, Xiao Qian slowly opened her eyes. The ecstasy of last night felt like a dream, yet her bare body told her the cruel truth. Just yesterday afternoon she had been drinking tea with her sister. Now she woke up in a hotel room with a man she didn't even know, after doing the unthinkable. She didn't even know who he was, hadn't even seen his face clearly. Her heart filled with grief, tears streaming down her cheeks. "Sister, why would you do this to me?" A fashionable woman held her phone, bragging to her best friend as she revealed her despicable scheme. To protect her father's job, she had shamelessly offered up her own younger sister to the company's chairman, an old man in his 70s. This woman was none other than Xiao Qian's sister, Xiao Lina. Exhausted, Xiao Qian dragged her weary body back home. The moment Lina saw her sister, she forced a smile and greeted, "Qian, you're back." Qian's voice trembled with grievance as she questioned, "Sister, why would you do this?" Lina grabbed her hand with a bright smile. "Do you know, Dad's job is safe now. Shouldn't we celebrate?" Qian shouted in fury, "Celebrate? Is that really the reason you hurt me?" Lina's fake smile vanished, her face twisting with malice. "Don't you get it? Dad's chairman had his eyes on you and wanted to meet you. The company's laying off people. If you refuse, Dad will lose his job. He's been struggling to support this family all by himself. As his daughter, shouldn't you think about him for once?" Qian cried out in pain, "That still doesn't excuse you for deceiving me and doing something so vile." Lina snapped back, her voice full of disgust. "Xiao Qian, what are you yelling for? Dad knew your temper. That's why he kept it from you. I saw him that day nearly killing himself. I admit I'm dirty, I'm shameless, I hurt you. But who am I doing this for? Don't forget, Xiao Qian, you're the one who killed my mother. I will never allow you to kill my father too and tear this family apart. Remember your place, you already killed my mother." Those words echoed in Qian's ears like a curse, leaving her so wrong that she couldn't utter a single reply. Her thoughts drifted back to years ago, the night of that sudden fire. Xiao Qian's mother had sacrificed her own life to pull her out of the flames. To Qian, it was all her fault. All her fault. She believed she owed the Xiao family and should spend the rest of her life repaying that debt. She said nothing, only turned away and headed for the door. "Wait, where are you going? Sister, you won't tell Dad about this, will you? You know how much he loves you. If he found out you did this just to protect his job, he would definitely—" "Don't worry. I won't tell Dad. I won't tell anyone." Crushed with grief, Xiao Qian curled up alone in the corner of the room, sobbing silently. What did I do wrong to deserve such cruel punishment? Just then her phone rang. It was her boyfriend, Li Chen. "Yan, I'm back. I missed you so much. Where are you? I'll come find you." Moments later, a cheerful young man appeared before Xiao Qian. With her heart in pieces, she asked softly, "Weren't you supposed to be abroad for 5 months? Why are you back so soon?" Completely unaware of the truth, Li Chen replied with joy, Yan, after graduation I swore that within 3 years I'd make my parents accept you, and that you would become my wife. Now I've done it. My parents have agreed to our marriage." Suddenly, Li Chen dropped to one knee and pulled out a small box from his pocket. Inside was a dazzling diamond ring. "Marry me." Xiao Qian stared at the ring, a bitter smile tugging at her lips. To her, this felt like a cruel joke from the heavens. Li Chen was the only man who had ever entered her heart, her one and only support in life. But today all of it was destined to shatter into nothing. In her heart she cried out, "I'm sorry, Li Chen. I'm too selfish. I don't have the face to tell you that last night I was with another man." For 4 years she had dreamed countless times of their happy future together. If only he had come back a day earlier, maybe their ending wouldn't have turned out this way. Through her tears she choked out, "Li Chen, let's break up. With those words, she could no longer stay. Turning away, she stumbled as she ran, tears streaming uncontrollably down her face. "Hey, crazy woman. Watch where you're going. You almost ran into our young master Yen." A tall man stepped in front of her. His chiseled features carried a deadly chill, his sharp eyes like blades that pierced straight into one's soul. The tailored suit on his body only amplified his cold, commanding aura. Even standing still, his presence was impossible to ignore. Xiaoqian lowered her head like a guilty child, whispering over and over, "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." Li Qin rushed out after her, his heart aching as if it were being cut apart. He grabbed her arms tightly, pleading, Yen, what's going on? It's fine if you don't want to get married, but why break up out of nowhere? Have you thought about my feelings? Do you care about my heart at all? Please give me one more chance. We've been together for 4 years. Let go, Li Qin. Please let go." Qin struggled weakly, desperate to free herself. She didn't want to drag down this pure, sunny boy any further. At that moment, the man beside her suddenly pulled them apart, his voice domineering and cold. "Sir, stop pestering my girlfriend." Qin froze. She knew this man was only helping her get rid of Li Qin. Li Qin stared at the stranger by her side, his face twisted with disbelief and rage. "Your girlfriend? Yin, is that true? For years, for whole years. I've treated you like my everything. Tell me what's wrong with me. And yet you found someone else." Tears welled in Qian's eyes as her voice broke. "I know you've been good to me. Every moment we shared is etched in my heart. But nothing can go back to the way it was. Seeing you now is like having another knife cut into my heart." Li Chen's heart shattered like glass crashing to the floor. Fighting back tears, he turned away with great reluctance, leaving only one final line behind. "Xiaoqian, I hate you." Watching Li Chen's fading figure, the words, "I hate you," pierced into Xiaoqian's heart like nails. Broken and in pain, she lowered her head and whispered, "Thank you for helping me out." With that, she stumbled away in tears. Wang Yongming chuckled and teased, "Young Master Yen, you just played the hero saving the beauty. Don't tell me you've already taken a liking to her." Xing Tianyan's tone was icy. "Cut the nonsense. That woman kept her head down the whole time, messy and disheveled. I didn't even see her face clearly." With that, he strode forward. Yang Ming quickly caught up, slapping a hand onto Tianyan's shoulder with a grin. "I heard your old man found you a fiancé. Have you checked her out yet?" Tianyan brushed his hand off, clearly uninterested. Yang Ming went on teasing, "Don't tell me you're gay? So many women around you and not a single one catches your eye. But here's the thing. Until you get married, the chairman won't hand over the president's seat. Are you really gonna let the Xing Corporation fall into another family's hands?" Tianyan turned, his eyes flashing with unshakable dominance. "A mere company? What does it matter whose name it carries? What I, Xing Tianyan, will build is no ordinary firm, but a great financial empire." At home, her father beamed with joy as he told Xiao Lina, "Lina, it's all settled. You don't have to marry the chairman anymore." Lina secretly smirked. Of course things had been settled, her perfect switch had worked. Even if something went wrong later, it would be her sister who ended up married to that old man. Her father hugged her with relief, his voice full of affection. "My good daughter, you've suffered these past few days. It was my fault for not understanding at first. In truth, the chairman wanted to introduce you to his son, Xing Tianyan. But since his son refused the marriage, it was called off." The news struck Lina like a bolt of lightning. Did this mean the man who had been with her sister last night was none other than Xing Tianyan, the heir of the Xing Corporation, admired by countless women? At Xing Corporation, Xiao Qian successfully passed her interview. All that was left was the medical exam before she could officially work at her father's company. It had always been her dream, yet now she felt no joy at all. Holding the acceptance email in her hand, she walked with her head down and brushed shoulders with Xing Tianyan in the hallway. Yang Ming spotted her immediately and grinned. "Isn't that the girl you played hero for the other day? She looks so fragile, but who would have thought she's this capable? After all, only top talents make it into Xing Corporation. Still, I can't help but notice she passed the interview, yet she doesn't look happy at all." Tianyan replied coldly, his tone impatient. "You're way too nosy. Do you not have enough work to do? At the medical center, the doctor's expression turned serious as she spoke to Xiao Qian. There are certain requirements for this exam. I don't know how you view this job, but I must tell you, you're pregnant. The moment she heard those words, it felt as if the sky collapsed on her. The weight crushed the air from her lungs, her head spun in a daze, and she collapsed to the floor. When Xiao Qian woke up in the hospital, she stared blankly at the ceiling. Even faced with the truth, she still couldn't believe she was pregnant. Her sister brought her a cup of hot water, acting unusually attentive, making Qian feel as if she were dreaming. Yet she had no idea. This malicious sister was already plotting against the child in her womb. I'll help you raise the baby. The promise sounded kind, but beneath it hid a sinister scheme. Weak and pale, Xiao Qian lay on the hospital bed, staring at her sister. The same sister who had always treated her harshly was now serving her tea and water. She could hardly believe it. She just sat there, dazed, staring at the cup of water her sister offered, unable to lift her hand to take it. What's wrong, sister? Why are you spacing out? Of course I should take care of you. After all, my dear sister has a sweet little life growing inside her. Qian's eyes widened in shock. You know? Does Dad know? What do I do? If he finds out, it'll kill him with anger. A sly glint flashed in Lina's eyes, though her tone remained soothing. Silly girl, this secret won't stay hidden forever. But listen, I need you to promise me, you mustn't let Dad know who the father of this child is. If he finds out, he won't even be able to face you again. Our whole family could fall apart. I've heard the chairman won't force you to marry anymore and Dad's job is safe. We can just pretend none of this ever happened, all right? Seeing her sister's serious expression, Xiao Qian grew anxious as well. But what about this child? Lina lowered her head, feigning sorrow. It's all my fault. I never should have sacrificed you just to protect our family. The child in your belly, it's because of me. She clasped her sister's hand, speaking with a pained look. Do you remember when I was 5 and Dad brought you home? Back then I didn't understand, but as I grew, I realized how precious life truly is. We shouldn't take away the chance for a life to be born. Have this baby and I'll help you raise it. Hearing those words, Xiao Qian closed her eyes in resignation. I know. I owe the Xiao family too much. Sister, I'll listen to you. Watching her sister give in, a sly glint flashed in Lina's eyes. Back at home, when Xiao Qian's father learned she was pregnant, he was furious. The child wasn't Li Chen's and she couldn't even say who the father was. I always thought you were a sensible daughter, he roared. But this time you've truly disappointed me. Lina quickly stepped forward to comfort him. Dad, please don't be so angry. If the neighbors hear about this scandal, it'll be even worse for our family. Her eyes flickered with calculation as she added, I have an idea. Why don't we rent a place for Qian to stay these next few months? Once the baby is born, she can move to another city to start fresh and I'll raise the child. I'll just tell people it was adopted. After all, I've never been pregnant. My reputation is spotless. If my sister starts over in another city, it's like nothing ever happened. Isn't that the perfect solution? Their father sighed and shook his head helplessly. Perhaps that could work. On the surface, the problem seemed resolved. But Xiao Qian didn't realize. The true nightmare would begin only after the child was born. Early the next morning, while their father had already gone to work, Lina urged her sister to pack her things. Come on, hurry. You don't want people seeing you like this, do you? Dad's health isn't good. Don't make him sadder when he's home. With reluctance, Xiao Qian got into a taxi, leaving behind the home she had lived in for more than 10 years. The taxi stopped in front of a shabby, run-down apartment. Staring at the cobweb-covered room, Lina pretended to be kind. Sister, don't mind how poor the conditions are. In your situation, this is the only place you can stay. If you lived near home, people would gossip. Now just stay here and focus on your pregnancy. Once you give birth, I'll take care of the baby. Then you'll be free and we can pretend none of this ever happened. The naive girl was completely deceived, even moved to tears as she said, All right, sister. I'll listen to you. Meanwhile, at Xing Corporation, Xiao Qian never showed up for work because she needed to rest for the pregnancy. Looking at her resume, Xing Tianyan frowned. This girl, already giving up so easily? A few months later, Xiao Qian's belly had grown larger, and during this time her sister had been taking meticulous care of her. Ever since she was adopted into the Xiao family, her sister had always bullied her. Yet these past few months, it felt as if Lina had become a completely different person, treating her with warmth almost like a real sister. Suddenly, a sharp pain shot through Qian's stomach. Realizing the baby was coming, Lina immediately called for an ambulance. The siren wailed as the ambulance rushed Xiao Qian to the hospital. In the obstetrics ward, Xiao Qian endured the greatest trial of a woman's life, childbirth. Meanwhile, her malicious sister was on the phone with their father. "Dad, don't come and make things messy. Once the baby's born, I'll handle everything. It's just childbirth, what could possibly go wrong?" After hanging up, Lina fell into deep thought. "I've poured out endless patience these past months, treating her better than ever. But none of this was for her sake. Once she gives birth, I'll throw her out and make her disappear. The farther the better. Then the position of young madam of the Xing family will be mine for the taking." When the doors of the maternity ward opened, Xiao Lina rushed forward, caring only about the baby. "Doctor, how are my sister and the child?" The doctor replied, "Both mother and baby are safe, though the child still needs some tests." Lina hurried into the room, putting on a false smile. "Sister, you've really suffered." Xiao Qian moved answered, "Not at all. These days, it's you who's worked so hard taking such careful care of me." Seizing the moment, Lina pulled a plane ticket from her bag. "Sister, I booked you a flight for the day after tomorrow. Go to another city and start fresh. There's a close friend of mine there, she'll take care of you." Qian stared at the ticket before speaking firmly. "Sister, I've thought it through. I may not be a perfect mother and I can't give my child a father's love, but I can't take away his mother's love too. I won't leave. I'm staying with my child." Lina snapped, anger flaring. "Xiao Qian, we agreed on this. How can you go back on your word? How am I supposed to explain to my friend? And do you think that ticket money was pocket change?" She pressed on, her tone sharp. "You haven't worked for a year. You've been living off me and Dad's money all this time. How can you be so selfish?" Looking at her furious sister, Qian pleaded softly. "I know I've caused you trouble. I'll work hard and pay everything back. But I can't just leave my baby. If it's really so hard for you to explain, then I'll take the child with me and go, all right?" Lina knew her sister's stubborn temper all too well. Once she made up her mind, it was nearly impossible to change it. But this foolish girl changing her decision now meant the fat prize was slipping through Lina's fingers. "If I had known it would come to this, I should have gotten rid of the baby from the start." Lina seethed inwardly. All those months of caring for her wasted. In the obstetrics ward, as Xiao Qian was discussing the child's future with her sister, the door suddenly burst open. A doctor walked in with a grave expression. "Who is Xiao Qian? You need to prepare yourself. Your baby's test results suggest he may have acute blood coagulation disorder." Both Qian and her sister turned pale with shock. "Doctor, what kind of illness is that? Can my baby be saved?" The doctor frowned. "It's a rare condition usually seen in newborns. In the early stages it's not too dangerous, but if it progresses it can become life-threatening. Fortunately, your baby is still in the early stage. If treated promptly, he can recover." Hearing this, Xiao Qian felt a weight lift from her chest. "Thank goodness. Doctor, how should this be treated?" "First, you need to pay a 50,000 yuan deposit for hospitalization," the doctor replied. Lina's jaw dropped. 50,000? Where would we get that kind of money? The doctor continued, "And that's just the initial fee. To cure this completely with follow-up treatments and post-surgery care, the total will be around 1 million. The words hit Xiao Qian like a bomb, crushing her spirit. 1 million? Where could I possibly find 1 million? Lina quickly added, "Neither Dad nor I have that kind of money." Lowering her head in despair, Qian's voice trembled. I understand." Forcing herself out of bed, she walked up to the doctor and pleaded, "Doctor, please treat my baby first. I'll find a way to pay the medical fees." Lina stepped back toward the window, her thoughts turning venomous. "This stinks. I thought her child would be my ticket to fortune, but he turned out to be useless trash. I wasted more than half a year on her for nothing." After speaking with the doctor, Xiao Qian turned to her sister, her voice trembling. "Sister, with my savings and what I've borrowed from friends, I can barely put together 100,000. But it's nowhere near enough. What should I do? Lina's face darkened. You better find a job. Don't expect Dad or me to clean up your mess. She pulled a card from her pocket and handed it over. This place is hiring. They say it pays 5,000 a day and more with bonuses if you do well. Keen glanced at the card. A nightclub. Her heart sank. Might be that kind of work. But 5,000 a day could at least cover her son's medical bills. With no other choice, she decided to go. Inside the Golden Emperor nightclub, a group of heavily made-up women chattered excitedly. Girls, we've got 2 VIP guests tonight. Is it young Master Yang? He's one of our regulars. Keep it together. You're swooning over Yang already? If Xing Tianyan shows up, you'll completely lose it. A loud gasp erupted near the entrance. Oh my god, it really is Xing Tianyan, the heir of Xing Corporation. If I get the chance to serve him tonight, I'd give up 10 billionaires for it. If I could win his favor. God, I can't even imagine. Sitting quietly in the corner, Xiao Qin froze at the name. Xing Tianyan? Wasn't that the son of her father's chairman? How could it be such a coincidence? If her father ever found out she was here. At the entrance of the Golden Emperor nightclub, Xing Tianyan and Yang Ming stepped inside. The women flaunted themselves eagerly, hoping to catch their attention. Only Xiao Qin stood with her head lowered in a distant corner, lost and unsure of what to do. Playboy Yang Ming thrived in such a place, his gaze sweeping over the crowd of glamorous women. At last, his eyes landed on Qian in the corner. Isn't that girl supposed to be working at Xing Corporation? And now she's here as a hostess. Running into this woman on her very first night at the club. It felt like fate. Glancing at the cold, emotionless Tianyan, Yang Ming smirked. He strode up to Qian and barked, "Hey you, head down. Go serve young Master Xing." When she didn't respond, Yang Ming leaned closer, grinning. "If you can please Tianyan tonight, I'll reward you with 100,000. The moment Qian heard 100,000, her heart jolted. It wasn't enough to cure her son, but it could cover the first operation fee. Yet the memory of that night a year ago returned, bitter and heavy. Time had dulled the shame, but now fate was forcing her to serve the chairman's son. It felt like a cruel joke. For her child's sake, she braced herself and walked slowly toward Xing Tianyan. Facing the cold, aloof man, she stammered nervously, hello?" Yang Ming burst into laughter, nearly spitting out his drink. "Did I hear that right? Starting off like that? What is this, the nightclub's new innocent girl act?" He eyed her suspiciously. "Don't tell me this is your first night working here." Qian, timid and flustered, nodded. "Why yes." The atmosphere froze instantly. Mr. Li, who had been discussing business with Xing Tianyan, slammed the table in anger. "What is this? Golden Emperor nightclub has no one else? Sending us such trash? At least know how to toast properly." Trembling, Xiao Qian slowly poured a glass of wine and held it out toward Xing Tianyan. "Please, have a drink." But just as she did, Mr. Li stretched out his hand, knocking the glass over. The wine splashed all over his suit. His fury grew, fists tightening. "What the hell are you doing? Clumsy idiot. Looking for a beating?" The moment he raised his hand, Xing Tianyan pulled Qian firmly into his arms. With his other hand, he gripped Li's arm hard, his strength making Li's face instantly pale. Pressed against that solid chest, Qian froze. The sensation was hauntingly familiar, as if she had once leaned on it before. Staring blankly at the man before her, the memory of that reckless night surged in her mind. If the man from that night really was Xing Tian, would everything have turned out differently? She shook herself back to reality, denying the thought. No, impossible. How could it have been Xing Tianyan that night? Sister said it was father's chairman. After everything that happened, Xing Tianyan couldn't stomach it any longer. With a dark expression, he shoved his hands into his trouser pockets and stood. "Mr. Li, I think our cooperation ends here." Yang Ming quickly stepped in with a grin. "Tianyan, come on, what are you doing?" But Tianyan's face was cold as ice. "You knew I don't come to places like this, yet you set the meeting here. Did you think I wouldn't see through your little trick?" Just as Tianyan and Yang Ming were about to leave, Xiao Qian hurried after them, bowing her head slightly. "Just now, thank you." Tianyan glanced back, his voice as frigid as snow. "Thank me for what?" I never intended to help you. With that, he turned and left with Yang Ming, leaving Qian frozen in place. Moments later, Yang Ming returned alone, holding out a check for 100,000. Here, this is the money I promised you. Qian stared blankly. I didn't do anything. I even caused trouble. I can't take this money. Yang Ming arched a brow, amused. Strange. Aren't girls here supposed to be money hungry? Yet you don't want it. His narrow peach blossom eyes narrowed further as he added slyly, You've already made Tianyan give up a major deal for you. And this is the second time he's stepped in to save you. So you should take it. The second time? Qian froze, then remembered. During the incident with Li Chen, wasn't it Tianyan who had shielded her? No wonder that sense of familiarity struck her just now. It was him. Outside the Golden Emperor, Tianyan asked coolly as Yang Ming caught up. Did you give her the money? Yang Ming smiled faintly. So you knew. Seems you recognized her as the girl you saved last time. Tianyan's tone carried a hint of mockery. Of course I recognized her. The moment I walked into the room I knew. She's far too different from the women who flaunt themselves here. But I didn't expect that in the end she'd be willing to do anything for money. Back at the hospital, Xiao Qian paid the 100,000 yuan deposit. Lowering her head, she murmured to her sister, I've already been fired from the nightclub. The deposit is covered, but the surgery itself will cost a fortune. What should I do? Lina sneered inwardly, sensing her chance, but outwardly she sighed with feigned pity. It's my fault as your sister. I'm useless, I can't help you with this. Then her tone shifted, softer yet deliberate. But I do have one idea that could save the child. The question is, are you willing? Qian's eyes lit with desperation. Sister, tell me. As long as my baby can be saved, I'll do anything. Seeing her sister fully trapped, Lina's eyes narrowed, a sinister glint flashing as she whispered, Cut ties with your child. Hand the baby over to someone rich enough to pay for the treatment. Early the next morning, Xiao Lina arrived at the Xing family estate with the baby in her arms, knocking on the grand gates. Gazing at the luxurious mansion, she vowed silently. She would stop at nothing to become the Xing family's young madam and live the life of a wealthy wife. The butler promptly reported, Master, young master, there is a Miss Xiao outside holding a child. Chairman Xing lifted his teacup, taking a slow sip as he recalled arranging a wife for his son a year ago. All right, I understand. Invite Miss Xiao to wait in the sitting room. The old master turned his gaze to his son. How do you intend to deal with this matter? Xing Tianyan crossed his arms, his voice cold. I told you about this a year ago. I only intended to humiliate that frivolous girl and make Xiao Nanshan give up his schemes. But I never expected my moment of recklessness would result in her pregnancy, and that she would actually give birth to the child. The moment Xiao Lina stepped into the sitting room, she dropped to her knees pitifully. Master Xing, please, I beg you, save my son. He has acute blood coagulation disorder. The surgery costs 1 million. Our family has scraped together only a few 100,000. We're still far short. Xing Tianyan's tone was icy. How much do you want? With tears streaming down her face, Lina sobbed, Young Master Xing, if this were only about money, I would have come to you while I was pregnant. Why would I wait until after the child was born? But today, yes, I am here for money. I need it to save my son. Chairman Xing responded kindly, Don't worry. He's the grandson of the Xing family. Of course we will take care of him. Hearing take care of the child, Lina's heart clenched. What about me? Her brow furrowed slightly. She then feigned fear, looking at the old master. Are you planning to take my son away from me? Please don't take my child. Xing Tianyan's face remained impassive. Another scheme arranged by your father? Enough. Just tell me how much. Seeing his son's ruthlessness, the elder Xing snapped. Tianyan, that's enough. Miss Xiao, please get up and speak properly. Lina rose to her feet, wiping the tears from her cheeks. Young Master Xing, I admit all of this stems from my father. But I, Xiao Lina, never asked for much. She drew a shaky breath, her voice trembling with resolve. Since my baby fell ill, I've carried the burden alone. But no, I can't handle it anymore. I only hope you'll consider that this child carries your blood. Lend me 700,000. I swear I will pay it back. Lina's perfect performance completely moved Chairman Xing. With a sigh, he said, I misjudged you. You're a pitiful child. Tianyan, even if you refuse, I'll bring her and the baby into our home. Xing Tianyan, seeing the matter could no longer be avoided, replied coldly, do a DNA test first. If the child is mine, I'll make sure he gets the best treatment. If not, take him away. Lina was left dumbfounded. What did Tianyan mean by that? Treating the child wasn't her real goal. What she wanted was to marry into the Xing family. The DNA results came back quickly. The child was indeed Tianyan's biological son. Overjoyed to have a grandson, Chairman Xing immediately named him Xing Yuqing, meaning to illuminate the entire city. He even had a bedroom in the mansion converted into a private ward, with doctors and caretakers assigned around the clock to tend to the precious heir. In the room, Lina watched over the baby. Looking at the child who could elevate her status, she felt both pleased and irritated. Pleased because of his identity, but irritated at the burden. Even with many helpers, she found it exhausting. That wretched girl was born cheap. She could look after the child endlessly without complaint. She cursed inwardly. Seeing Lina's meticulous care for his grandson, the old master spoke gently. Lina, Yuqing has doctors and nannies. You should get some rest. Lina gave a soft smile and shook her head. It's all right, Master Xing. I'm Yuqing's mother. Taking care of him is my duty. Touched by her response, the old master nodded warmly. What a good child. Very well, be obedient and rest. And from now on, don't call me Master Xing. Just call me Uncle. Lina blushed shyly. Uncle Xing, I'll listen to you. Lina thought to herself, finally I'm free. She let out a long sigh of relief. Her eyes flickered as she picked up her handbag and turned to leave. Then I'll head home for now and come back tomorrow. Chairman Xing quickly stopped her. Lina, why go home? We've already prepared a room for you. Stay here for the next few days. Not just to build rapport with Tianyan. More importantly for the child, you should remain here. Realizing she had already earned the chairman's trust, Lina felt a surge of triumph. She hid it behind a demure smile and said coyly, You've already taken such trouble for Yuqing. How could it be proper for me to stay here any longer? Seeing such politeness and modesty, the elder Xing liked her even more as a future daughter-in-law. Lina, you're Yuqing's mother and Yuqing is my grandson. No one will think it improper if you stay. Certain that the old man had taken the bait, Lina replied politely, Very well, then I'll trouble you, uncle. The butler led her to a lavishly decorated bedroom. Miss Xiao, this will be your room. Please rest well and let us know if you need anything. Lina murmured a faint thank you, then closed the door behind her. Once inside, she gleefully leapt onto the enormous bed, far grander than the one she had at home. With servants waiting outside to attend to her, she thought with giddy delight, soon this will all be mine. I'll be the mistress of this house. As Lina was daydreaming about her glorious future as a rich wife, a sudden phone call snapped her back. It was her sister, Xiao Qian. Annoyed, she picked up. What is it now? Qian's voice trembled with worry. Sister, how's the baby? Lina snapped over the line, her voice sharp and impatient. Didn't I tell you not to ask? Don't ask again. He's fine, all right? They've already arranged surgery for him. I see, that's good. Qian forced a response, her heart sinking. She felt relief that her child was getting treatment, yet sorrow clawed at her, knowing that once the baby was cured, those who took him in would never let her see him again. Silent tears rolled down her cheeks. Later that evening, Father Xiao returned home to find his daughter sitting alone, her face clouded with despair. Alarmed, he asked urgently, Qian, what's wrong? Did something happen to the baby? Qian choked back sobs. I'm sorry. I failed you, failed our family. I gave my baby away. The old man's fury erupted. You're unworthy of being a mother, he shouted before the anger overwhelmed him. His body gave way and he collapsed unconscious on the spot. Ding ding ding. In the luxurious private ward, Xing Tianyan gently shook a little rattle. The baby in the crib cooed with laughter, his wide eyes fixed on the toy, tiny hands reaching out as if to grab it. Tianyan's gaze softened at the sight of his adorable son. For a moment, warmth filled his eyes, and he nearly reached out to hold the child. Suddenly, the door burst open. Tianyan instantly pulled back his hand, his expression turning cold. "Young Master Xing, you're here as well," the doctor said as he entered. Tianyan's voice was icy. "How is Yuqing's condition?" "The surgery recovery is excellent, sir. There will be no aftereffects at all, rest assured." "However," Tianyan's brows furrowed. "However what?" The doctor hesitated, then answered, "At his age, the young master should be drinking around 800 milliliters of milk daily. But right now, he barely takes in 300. Though it was his first time as a father, Tianyan knew the importance of breast milk. Hearing that Yuqing was consuming so little made unease creep into his chest. The doctor explained further. Shortly after birth, Miss Xiao stopped producing milk, so the baby was weaned early. We tried substitutes, but the young master rejects most of them and drinks very little." Tianyan's face darkened at once, his voice like a whip. "You can't even handle something as basic as feeding my child? What use are you? If anything happens to my son, none of you will escape responsibility." The doctor, trembling, bowed repeatedly. "Please calm down, young master. We will resolve this issue immediately, I swear." In the adjacent room, Chairman Xing and Lina overheard everything. The old man chuckled softly. "Ha, Lina, did you hear that? Tianyan has always been calm and composed, yet today he lost control. That shows just how much he truly cares for Yuqing." Then his tone shifted, warm and expectant. "And you, Lina, how do you feel about Tianyan these past few days? Don't you think it's time you started calling me father?" Lina's heart blossomed with joy. She had been waiting for this chance to change how she addressed him but never found the right moment. Lowering her head in feigned shyness, she murmured, I think I'd like to go home and prepare first." The elder Xing nodded eagerly. Yes, that's right. Choose a good day and I'll have Tianyan bring you into the family." After saying her goodbyes and stepping out of the Xing estate, Lina was practically skipping with delight. Lina will finally be a young madam. No more shabby rooms, no more worrying about money every day. But then a troubling thought hit her. Once I marry in, father will surely learn everything. And since he dotes on that wretched girl, he'll definitely expose the truth. Standing by the roadside, Lina pulled out her phone and switched it on. The screen lit up with countless missed calls from her sister. She ignored them, choosing instead to check the text messages. The messages were filled with desperation. "Sister, where are you right now? Dad's had a stroke." At the hospital, Lina walked in to find her frail father lying on the bed with Xiao Qian by his side. Qian looked up with relief. "Sister, you're finally back." But as soon as she reached her, there was a sharp slap. Lina struck her hard across the face. "I was gone only a few days and father fell this seriously ill. Is this how you've been taking care of him?" With her cheek burning red, Qian lowered her head, holding her face in silence. Their father spoke weakly from the bed. "Don't hit your sister. It's not her fault." Wanting to send Qian away so she could speak privately with her father about her marriage, Lina feigned gentleness, stroking her sister's face. "Sister, I'm sorry. I was too harsh. You've had such a hard time while I was gone. Look at your dark circles, you've lost weight. You've really suffered. Let me take care of father now. You should go home and get some rest." Hearing her sister's understanding, the kind-hearted Qian naturally chose not to argue. She nodded softly and turned to her father. "Dad, I'll go home for now. I'll come back tonight." Father Xiao closed his eyes wearily, answering faintly, Go on. Get some rest." Xiao Qian staggered out of the hospital. Having just given birth, her body was still frail, and the exhaustion of the past few days weighed heavily on her. Her head felt unbearably heavy. Suddenly, her vision went black and she collapsed in the middle of the road. At that very moment, a luxury car screeched to a halt. Inside sat Xing Tianyan, who frowned. "What's going on?" The driver glanced ahead. "Young master, a woman fainted in front of us." Tianyan's voice was cold. "Go around." The car swerved, but after only a few meters, Tianyan caught sight of the woman's face through the window. It was her. He immediately stepped out of the car, striding quickly to her side. Looking down at the unconscious woman, his suspicion was confirmed. It really was her. Without hesitation, he scooped Qian into his arms and rushed into the hospital, shouting urgently, "Doctor! Someone's fainted here." Once she was placed on a hospital bed, Tianyan stood silently, staring at her. Compared to before, she looked thinner, her complexion even more pale and sickly. "Sir, are you all right?" The doctor's voice pulled him out of his thoughts. Tianyan blinked back to focus. "I'm fine. How is she?" The doctor explained, "There's nothing serious. It's just exhaustion compounded by malnutrition and low blood sugar. She'll recover after a few days of observation." Malnutrition? Tianyan frowned. Didn't Yangming give her 100,000 last time? She shouldn't be short of money. So why is she malnourished? He dismissed the thought, shoving his hands into his pockets. "Thank you, doctor. I've already paid her hospital fees." With that, he turned to leave. "Sir, please wait," the doctor called after him. "We need her personal information for admission. Could you tell me her name?" Tianyan's reply was ice cold. "I'm not her family. Ask her yourself when she wakes up. If she asks about me, just make something up." With that, he walked out of the ward without looking back. In another luxury ward of the hospital, Lina had transferred her father into a VIP room. Father Xiao worried about the cost, but Lina, who was about to climb high socially, waved it off. "Dad, don't worry about money. As long as you're comfortable, you'll recover faster." Still, concern lingered on his face. Lina closed her eyes and, as if testing the waters, murmured softly, "I'm about to marry Xing Tianyan." Father Xiao was stunned. "How did you end up with Xing Tianyan?" Knowing she couldn't hide it forever, Lina stammered, "The reason I could be with him is because of my sister's child." Finally, she decided to lay it all out. "Fine, I'll just say it. The truth is, the Xing family rejected me at first, because of Xiao Qian. She insisted on going in my place to meet Xing Tianyan, and they ended up together. The child is theirs. The Xing family never knew the truth. To save the baby, I claimed the child as mine. Who would have thought Uncle Xing would then demand I marry Tianyan?" Her voice grew smaller and smaller. Deep down, she knew her father had always been aware of the truth. After hearing everything, Father Zhao's face flushed red with rage. You were never trying to save the child. All you wanted was to marry into the Xing family." Exposed, Lina collapsed into tears, begging desperately, "Dad, please, I'm begging you, don't tell my sister. If the Xing family finds out, they'll never forgive me. I swear I only did this to save the baby." She pleaded frantically. "Look how well things turned out. The child is alive and now he has a father. Even if I'm not his biological mother, I'll treat him as if he were my own. My sister can return to a normal life. This so-called kind lie won't hurt anyone." Her voice shook, almost hysterical. "But if the truth comes out, my sister and I can never be sisters again. So please, Dad, you must help me keep this secret." Hearing such shameless words, the righteous old man shook his head firmly. "I will never help you with this." Seeing her father so resolute, Lina panicked. She clutched at him, shaking him desperately. "Dad, how can you do this? Do you want to watch me die?" On the bed, Father Xiao was trembling, his anger choking off his words. He forced out brokenly, "No, I won't. I won't." Suddenly, Father Zhao's eyes closed and his body went limp on the bed. No matter how Lina called out to him, he gave no response. Panicking, Lina screamed, "Doctor, please someone hurry. My father, he's not breathing." Moments later, Father Xiao was rushed into the emergency room. Left alone outside, Lina sat anxiously, though her worry was not for her father's condition. Instead, her mind raced. If something happens to Dad now, will it ruin my marriage to Xing Tianyan? Bitterness filled her chest. "Dad, why did you have to get sick at this moment? It's not really your fault. It's that wretched girl's fault for not taking care of you. And where is she anyway? Why isn't she answering her phone?" As Lina stormed toward the front desk to inquire about her father's condition, she suddenly froze. Standing there was Xing Tianyan himself. "What? Why is he here?" On the hospital bed, the frail Xiao Qian slowly opened her eyes, whispering, "I feel so awful. What happened to me?" She lifted her arm and noticed the marks from the 4-needle. "Nurse, why am I here?" she asked weakly. The nurse replied gently, "You've woken up. A kind stranger brought you in, and even paid your hospital fees." "A kind stranger?" Qian murmured. "Did he leave a name?" The nurse shook her head. "I'm sorry, he didn't. Just rest now." At that moment, Xiao Lina appeared outside the ward and stepped in. Sister, why are you here? I couldn't reach you at all. Kian explained faintly, I collapsed at the hospital entrance earlier. The nurse said a good Samaritan brought me in. But Lina had no patience for this. She grabbed Kian's hand urgently. Forget resting. Dad's in emergency care. The doctors have already issued a critical notice. The word struck Kian like lightning. She could no longer stay put. Forcing her weary body forward, she rushed toward the emergency room, whispering over and over, Dad, you'll be fine. You must be fine. After Kian had run off, Lina smirked and stepped up to the nurse. Who was it that brought my sister to the hospital just now? The nurse shook her head. I don't know. The gentleman didn't leave his name. Lina's eyes gleamed. A private single room. That man must be wealthy, she thought. The nurse, blushing like a fangirl, added, he wasn't just rich, he was incredibly handsome. Though to be honest, he kept such a stern face it was a little intimidating. I almost forgot, I still need to register your sister's admission details. Once the paperwork was completed, Lina and Kian sat quietly outside the emergency room, waiting. But inside, Lina was seething. The man who brought this wretched girl in must have been Xing Tianyan. For an iceberg like him to suddenly show kindness, what on earth did she do to deserve it? Just then, the doors of the emergency room swung open. The lead surgeon stepped out with a grave expression. Who is Xiao Qian? The patient wishes to see you. Qian jumped to her feet immediately. It's me. I'm Xiao Qian. Lina panicked at the thought of her father wanting to speak to Qian alone. Surely he would expose her vile deeds. She rushed forward. Doctor, what about me? I'm his daughter too. The doctor shook his head. The patient specifically asked to see Xiao Qian only. Please, there's no time to waste. Left behind, Lina's eyes filled with tears. Why is father always so biased? Even now he only wants Qian. Qian changed into sterile clothing and with heavy steps, pushed open the door to her father's room. The cold beeping of medical monitors filled the air as Father Xiao lay on the bed, weakly calling his daughter's name. Qian hurried to his side, clutching his hand tightly. Dad, you're not going to leave me, right? She choked out. A faint smile tugged at his lips. Heh, I know my own condition. Foolish child, I called you here because there's something important I must tell you. Qian trembled, tears streaming down her face. Dad, don't say that. You always taught us never to give up. Let's wait until you recover, then you can tell me, all right? All right. Qian, you've always been the most obedient. I won't give up, I promise. But you must listen to me first, okay? Oh, okay. Qian sobbed as she nodded, tears spilling down her cheeks. This story goes back 30 years. Back then, I was still in college, young, ambitious, and I met a classmate named Yen Kiki. She seemed cold on the outside, but inside she was gentle and kind. Maybe it was her smile. Before long, we fell in love. But happiness was short-lived. After graduation, work forced us apart and we could only stay connected through letters. One day, a woman named Xiaohe told me that Kiki had married in the countryside. Crushed, I turned to Xiaohe for comfort. Eventually, I married Xiaohe. We even had a child, your sister, Xiaolina. Then, at a class reunion, I saw Kiki again. She was still as beautiful as ever. But I was blinded by resentment. Without asking anything, I spent that night alone with her. When I discovered she was still a virgin, I realized I had been deceived by Xiaohe. Racked with guilt, I confessed to Kiki that I was already married and had a child. Kiki sat frozen on the bed. She didn't cry, she didn't argue, she just sat there, silent. The next morning, she slipped away quietly. I searched everywhere but couldn't find her. At last, I discovered her whereabouts. People said she had been accused of destroying a family and went to a church to repent. But when I finally found her, she was already gone. All she left behind was a child. That child was you. Qian, you are the daughter of Kiki and me. Father Zhao's voice trembled. Qian, my daughter. Do you know? Your mother was the kindest, purest, most genuine woman in the world. She was also the one I loved most in my life. And your father? I was a heartless man. I failed your mother and I failed you. Qian looked at her father's guilt-ridden face. Tears welled in her eyes, but she forced a faint smile. Dad, don't say that. You weren't heartless. I can feel the love you had for Mom. Otherwise, I wouldn't bear the name Xiao Qian. nor would I have spent these 20 years by your side. She lowered her head as tears streamed down her cheeks, yet her smile was sweet. Even if you never told me, in my heart, you've always been my real father. At that moment, Father Xiao recalled the woman he once deeply loved. She had been so pure, so kind, so understanding, and now all of those virtues lived on in his daughter. His expression grew solemn. He couldn't bear for his daughter to repeat her mother's suffering. In a grave tone, he said, "Qian, there's one more important thing I must tell you." Just as he was about to speak, Father Xiao suddenly recalled the image of Lina kneeling and begging before him. No matter how cruel Xia he had been back then, no matter how much Lina had wronged Kiki or Qian, Lina was still his biological daughter. Such sin. His heart twisted in torment as he forced out his final words. "Qian, promise me, remember this. No matter what mistakes your sister makes, never hold it against her. You two are sisters, real sisters. I failed you both, but Lina, she's still my daughter." The monitor gave its final beeps, beep, beep, before the lines flatlined. Father Zhao's blood pressure and pulse dropped to zero and his eyes closed forever. No matter how desperately Qian screamed and cried, her father would never respond again. Outside the ward, Lina paced like a restless ant on a hot pan. Why did he only see her? Did father expose everything? Is it all over for me? No. I'm your real daughter. Father, you'll side with me, won't you? From inside the operating room came Xiao Qian's anguished cry, "Dad!" Alarmed, Lina quickly pushed the door open. She entered to find Qian weeping on the floor, clutching her head, while their father lay motionless on the bed, his breath gone forever. Tears of grievance rolled down Lina's face. "Father, why wouldn't you see me one last time? In what way am I lesser than Xiao Qian?" Watching her sister sobbing on the ground, she tested cautiously, What did Dad say to you before he passed? He didn't say anything strange, did he? People with strokes often ramble nonsense. You mustn't take it seriously." "Sister." Qian lifted her tear-streaked face, bewildered. "Dad is gone and yet you care only about what he said? He just told me to remember that we must love each other, that we're real sisters. That's all." Really? Is that true?" Lina suddenly realized she had asked too much. Quickly, she changed her expression and tone. "Yes, we must love each other. Now it's just us. We have to depend on one another." As she spoke, she bent down and lifted her sobbing sister into her arms. But at that moment, a sinister smile tugged at the corner of Lina's lips, gleaming under the cold hospital lights, sharp and chilling. Though her father's funeral was not yet over, Lina lay in bed, her mind racing with schemes. Suddenly, her phone rang. It was Father Xing. "Lina, I just heard about your father's passing. Don't let grief ruin your health, child. Everyone must face old age and death one day." Forcing composure, Lina replied, "Yes, Uncle Xing. Thank you for your concern." On the other end, Father Xing sighed. "I had been preparing for your wedding with Tianyan these past few days. But now, with your father's death, the wedding must be postponed." At the word postponed, Lina bolted upright in bed. "Yes. According to tradition, it should be delayed." Then her eyes gleamed and she added quickly, "But before he passed, my father said his greatest regret was not seeing me wed. He wished I could marry soon so his spirit could rest in peace. So, I think the wedding with Tianyan should go on." Father Xing paused, pondering. "That does make sense. Parents do regret not witnessing their daughter's marriage before the end. Lina, since you're alone now, why not move into the Xing household? And if your father's dying wish was for you to marry, then you should proceed with the wedding to Tianyan right away." Hearing this, Lina could hardly contain her joy. Her father's death was already out of mind. "Dad, don't be angry with me. Once I marry into the Xing family, I'll find you the finest resting place, so you can lie comfortably even in the afterlife." In the living room, Xiao Qian knelt before her father's memorial portrait, keeping vigil. Seeing her sister heading out, she asked softly, "Sister, where are you going?" Lina snapped impatiently, "I'm going to stay somewhere else for a few days." "You're leaving now? But father's 7-day mourning isn't even over yet." Lina frowned, then suddenly spun around and shouted, "Why should I stay? My only family is gone. Staying here just tears me apart." Qian looked up at her pitifully. "Sister, am I not your family?" Lina let out a cold laugh, her words cutting like a blade. Family? You're not worthy of that. You're nothing but a bastard child. The words struck Kian like thunder, shaking her to the core. Trembling, she whispered, So, you knew all along. Yes, I knew. And it's because of you, bastard, that father is dead. I can't even stand to look at you. With that, she slammed the door and stormed off. Kian was left kneeling alone before her father's memorial, tears streaming down her face as her sobs echoed through the empty house. In the Xing family's living room, Father Xing was chatting casually with Lina. Just then, Xing Tianyan returned from the company. He cast them a cold glance and headed straight upstairs without a word. Father Xing's face darkened. Didn't you see Lina is here? Tianyan replied flatly. I saw. So what? If there's nothing else, I'm going to my study. Father Xing slammed the table. What kind of attitude is that? I've already discussed it with Lina. 4 days from now, the two of you will marry. Tianyan's eyes widened in shock. Didn't Mr. Xiao just pass away? And I've made myself clear. Yuqing is my son and I will take responsibility. Father Xing snapped. Then take responsibility properly, by giving the child a complete family. You must marry Lina. It was her father's dying wish, and it's also my hope that you settle down quickly. Tianyan fixed his gaze on the woman before him, disgust rising in his chest. Her father just died, yet she still has the mind to push for a wedding. Bound by his father's will, Tianyan relented at last. Fine. I'll marry her. But the wedding must be simple. Father Xing shot to his feet, furious. Simple? A Xing family wedding simple? That would wrong Lina, and make us the laughingstock of every family in the city. Lina finally spoke up. Uncle Xing, truthfully, I don't want a grand wedding either. My father just passed away. If not for his dying wish, I wouldn't even consider marrying Tianyan at this time. But inside she burned with resentment. Simple? Then my dream of a lavish wedding, luxury cars and a diamond-studded gown. All of it will vanish. The only reason she agreed to a simple wedding was to show obedience to Tianyan, hoping it would draw her closer to him. Once I step through the doors of the Xing family, endless wealth and privilege will be mine to enjoy. After finishing her father's funeral, Xiao Qian returned home, her heart heavy with loneliness. Remembering that her sister hadn't even shown up at the burial, she dialed Lina's number, but no one ever picked up. Gazing at the cold, empty house, Qian picked up the remote and turned on the TV. Perhaps the noise could bring a little warmth to the silence. But a news broadcast instantly sent her spirit plummeting. Today, Xing Tianyan, heir to the Xing Corporation, held his wedding. The bride is the daughter of one of the company's employees. Reports say the two have long been together, and the bride has already given birth to Tianyan's child. According to sources, the bride's family is currently in mourning, so the much-anticipated wedding was kept deliberately low profile. Let's take a look at the scene now. On screen, the bride appeared in dark sunglasses, and it was Lina. In that moment, Qian's heart froze. Her hands trembled as she shut the TV off. Unbelievable. My own sister schemed against me like this. She sat silently on the sofa in the dark, not making a single sound. Time passed in silence until the front door creaked open. Lina slipped back into the house, moving stealthily. Seeing the room in darkness, she fumbled to switch on the living room lights. The moment she spotted her sister sitting silently on the sofa, Lina, guilty at heart, jumped in fright. Qian, you're home? Why sit in the dark like this? You nearly scared me to death. Qian gave no reply, remaining seated with a blank expression, her face devoid of emotion. When her sister ignored her, Lina forced a dry laugh and walked closer. Sister, you must be exhausted after father's funeral. I was busy outside, so I didn't make it back. Look at your pale face. I really feel bad. Qian, already aware of her sister's despicable schemes, sneered at herself as she spoke. So, sister, you're already married and I didn't even know. Seems the one who should be ashamed here is me. Damn it, she knows. Lina's heart sank, but she forced a crooked smile. Heh, so you found out. The whole world knows, Qian said, her lips curving into a faint, unreadable smile. I only found out when they did. Congratulations, my dear sister. Don't mock me, Qian. I admit it, I wasn't there at father's burial. That was my fault, my mistake, alright. Staring at her sister's face, full of lies, Kian's fist clenched tight. The smile vanished from her face as she growled. Is that why you came back? Just to say this? Aren't you going to explain yourself? Explain that grand scheme of yours.